Hi there. They call me Harvester. Just an ordinary person like any of you, but with a rather unusual hobby. I'm a collector. But I don't collect ordinary things. I collect stories. Dark, frightening stories. Right now, I'm holding a set of old recorder tapes. They once belonged to the main character of the story you're about to hear. But now, they're part of my personal collection. Listeners, this is the very first story on my channel, which means your support means the world to me. I have hundreds of artifacts, journals, and stories waiting to be shared. So give this video a like, and subscribe if you want to hear more. Now get comfortable, put on your headphones, and turn off the lights. Enjoy. Okay. I don't really know where to begin. It's just, if you're hearing this, it means I didn't find any other way. Please, don't rush to judge. I know how all of this sounds, but I really did try. I'm recording this because I need to leave something behind, some kind of trace. Something that explains why I disappeared. Not for the police, not for the press, for the people who knew me. Listen, if I don't come back, you know where to look. You know where I went, and why. I don't want this to sound like a goodbye. It's just, I already understand there's no going back. After everything that happened, after what I saw, staying silent would be a crime too. All right, I'll try to tell everything, as much as I can. From the very beginning, there were 4 of us. Me, Ethan, 16. Just a regular kid, nothing special. And with me, always, were Maya, Lucas, and Jaden. We'd known each other practically our whole lives. Well, we thought we did. Lucas was the first to disappear. He just stopped answering messages. His mom spoke with that kind of calm that scares you more than screaming, saying the police were working on it, looking, doing everything they can. And we didn't know what to think. It still embarrasses me to admit it, but the last person Lucas texted was me. Just a normal message, nothing alarming. I thought, I'll answer later. After. And now that after sits inside me like a hook. Because if I had answered, maybe everything would have turned out differently. Maya was the only one who held on to the idea he was alive. Not just out of hope, she felt it. Every time someone said something like he might already be, she'd cut them off sharply.
Until there's proof he's out there, alive.
And I wanted to support her. I wanted to be there. Show her I wasn't just another friend, that I actually cared. But saying that out loud, well, you know how it is when you're a guy who's terrified of ruining a friendship with one wrong sentence. Jaden was different. He couldn't stand doing nothing. He kept repeating,
"If we don't do something, nobody will."
He had that kind of voice when he made up his mind. You could hear the conviction in it. He was the first to say the cops were going in circles, checking the same routes, talking to the same people. And what if Lucas ended up somewhere they weren't even going to search? I didn't want to get involved at first. But honestly, I looked at Maya and saw she was holding herself up by sheer stubbornness, and it felt like if I didn't do anything now, that'd be a betrayal too. Not as big as what happened later. But still. That evening, Jaden told us about a place where they'd found one of Lucas's things, and he said the police hadn't mentioned it in 2 days. The place was an abandoned morgue, but not just some old forgotten building. There were always weird rumors about it. And when he asked,
"Are we going or not?"
none of us said no. We thought we were helping a friend, that nothing worse could happen. But we were wrong. On the way there, Jaden reminded us of an old story. Honestly, I thought it was just school folklore, you know, those dumb legends older kids tell younger ones to scare them. But when he said the name, this shiver went straight down my spine and cold sweat ran down my back. Dr. Elias Warren. People at our school, and honestly, throughout the whole town, had been talking about him for years, like he was some kind of local ghost, a maniac who once worked as a forensic examiner at the city morgue. Someone who knew the human body better than most doctors times 2 times well. He was fired after a series of strange incidents, though no one ever explained what exactly happened. Some said he'd been running unauthorized experiments on corpses. Others claimed he suggested to colleagues that they should test the limits of people who were technically alive, but right on the edge of death. When we were kids, we were terrified and believed every word. When we became teenagers, the legends faded and stopped feeling real. But as we grew older, the story changed again. Quieter, darker. They said that after his dismissal, Warren began working on something of his own. Not pain, not torture, no. He was supposedly obsessed with the moment a person breaks on the inside. When they stop fighting, when they accept they're going to die. For him, that times was the real death. The physical one was just what followed afterward. Rumor had it that he tried to understand 3 things. The exact second a person gives up, what flashes in their eyes at that moment, and how long they stay alive after they're already dead inside. It sounds insane, but kids and local weirdos don't come up with details like that out of nowhere. There was even a phrase people claimed was his: the break is the real death. The heart just dies later. I remember hearing someone say it once during recess, and it sent chills through me. But back then, I blamed it on the creepy vibe and a bad day. According to the legend, after he vanished, some people saw him visiting the old abandoned morgue on the outskirts of town. There was a basement there that used to be for body storage. Most people in that neighborhood walked past the building without ever imagining someone would connect it to Dr. Warren. We didn't imagine it either. Not until that night. Because right by the road, the one leading to the morgue, we found another one of Lucas's things. His wristwatch. The one only he had, with the cracked face. He loved that watch because it was a gift from his father, who Lucas lost when he was very young. We didn't find the watch by accident. It wasn't hidden in the bushes or dropped somewhere random. It looked placed, like someone wanted us to see it. Maybe even Lucas himself left it as a clue. The strange part was how the police overlooked it when they searched the area. I stayed quiet for a long time, just staring at it. And it became clear to all of us, this wasn't just a disappearance anymore. Not someone running away, and definitely not a game. Things got serious then. There's something else I need to say before we get to what happened that night. I hate admitting this, but without it, you won't understand why I acted the way I did. I liked Maya. For a long time, probably since 8th grade. And yeah, I was too scared to tell her. Not because of rejection, because we were friends. I didn't want to ruin what we already had. And I kept thinking, I'll tell her later, when the moment is right. Later. You know, that word haunts me in everything. When Lucas disappeared, she held herself together through sheer willpower. Strong on the outside, drained on the inside. I saw her fingers trembling every time she read another message from the police. Saw how she forced out the words, they just didn't look in the right place. And I wanted to be there for her, not as a friend, but as someone who could support her the way she deserved. But I stayed silent. Always silent. And now, with everything that happened, I think I lost my chance. Maybe if I'd told her sooner, everything would have been different. Maybe I would have thought more clearly. Maybe I wouldn't have made the choices that still burn inside me. This isn't about romance. I'm not trying to make myself a hero or a victim, just explaining why I agreed to go with them all the way out there, to that morgue. Why I didn't say stop. Why I didn't turn back when I should have. I wanted to prove I wasn't scared, that I could be useful, that Maya wasn't wrong when she said,
Ethan isn't the kind of person who runs.
but maybe I was the one who should have run first. And maybe that's exactly why everything went the way it did. All right. Now about that night, we didn't go to the morgue because we were brave. We went because the police found one of Lucas's belongings on the road leading straight there and did absolutely nothing with it. Just wrote in the report that it didn't hold direct relevance. Maya found out by accident her mom spoke with an officer, and he slipped up. And when the three of us were alone, Maya said,
If they won't check it, then we will.
I knew it was a bad idea. But when she looked at me like that, like she was waiting for me to back her up, like she needed me not to let her down, I couldn't say no. So we went. Me, Maya, and Jaden. The morgue stood apart from everything else. No streetlights, no security. A building the town had practically erased from memory. The windows were boarded up, the front door hanging crooked, barely closed. As we got closer, the air changed sharp, chemical. Even though the place had been abandoned for decades, the smell of formaldehyde, sweet, heavy, still hung in the air. It got into your clothes, into your throat, into your head. I heard Maya quietly exhale, like she was fighting nausea. Inside, it was cold. Not nighttime cold, something else. Damp, clinical. The kind of chill that made you think someone had left the body refrigerators open for months. We stepped into the first room. The light from our phones slid across old embalming tables. The metal had dulled, streaked with rust. On one table were traces of dried solution-pale stains that had eaten into the surface. I caught myself whispering, even though nobody could hear us. The silence felt wrong, too thick, like any loud noise might wake something up. We moved slowly, checking every corner, stepping carefully so the debris and shattered glass wouldn't crunch too loudly under our feet. Jaden walked ahead, shining his phone into every crack. Maya stayed closer to me. At the far end of the room, near a wall where the ceiling sagged, we noticed something small. I bent down first and recognized it instantly. It was the little figurine Lucas always kept on his keychain. Small, worn, missing an arm. He used to joke that it was his bad luck charm. When I picked it up, my pulse synced with the silence. This wasn't a coincidence. Maya covered her mouth with her hand. There was something in her eyes caught between hope and panic.
Ethan, do you see? He was here. He really was here.
I didn't answer. Because if Lucas's keychain was here, someone brought it here. Whether on purpose or not didn't matter anymore. We stood around the old table, all thinking the exact same thing, though none of us said it aloud. If he made it here, why didn't he get out? Jaden broke the silence first.
We have to check the rest. This is just the first room.
And that's when something inside me clicked. Like a warning that this was the moment, maybe the last moment, when we could still walk out and pretend we hadn't seen anything. I could have said, let's go back. I could have taken Maya's hand and led her outside while we were still above ground, before anything happened. But no. We all saw just one thing a chance. The first real trace. The first proof Lucas was alive, that he'd been here, that not everything was lost. I remember tightening my grip on the figurine, and for some reason, it felt warm. And we went deeper into the morgue, where none of us had any right to go. At some point, we realized we had gone through every room on the first floor, and that ahead lay only dark hallways nobody had cleaned in years. I opened my mouth to suggest we go back and recheck what we'd already found. But that's when Jaden stopped. He was standing by a section of the floor where the wooden boards were warped, like someone had pried them up from underneath. At first it looked like ordinary water damage, but he crouched and ran his fingers along the edge. He said quietly,
There's something off here.
I stepped closer. Under the brittle wood, there was a dull sound, not hollow, but metallic. Maya held the light while Jaden and I carefully pried up the boards with the camping knife he always carried. The wood gave way surprisingly easily, like it had already been removed before. Underneath was a hatch. Old, metal, rust along the edges. The lock had once been welded shut, then later broken open violently. I didn't know what to say. There wasn't supposed to be any functioning basement. Officially, the morgue had been decommissioned ages ago. All equipment moved. But this hatch, it looked like someone had used it recently. Jaden was already pulling on the handle, and instead of stopping him, I just stood there and watched. The hatch opened with a screech that felt far too loud for the suffocating silence around us. A wave of rotten, damp air rolled out. Not just old basement smell, deeper, swampy, suffocating, metallic. There was something wrong about it. Like the air down there hadn't moved in years. We pointed our lights inside. A dark ladder led down into an ink-black void. There was no sound, no movement, just our own breathing. Maya whispered,
Where did this basement come from?
I didn't know, but I kept thinking about Lucas. About how his watch and keychain were found upstairs. About how the police never went any farther. And about how, if he was alive and running, he might have come down here. Or someone might have dragged him. We knew we were making a mistake. But Lucas had been here. I could feel it. We started climbing down. The ladder went deeper than I expected. The rungs were narrow, slick, and each step made such a muffled sound, I first thought the noise was simply getting absorbed by the air. Then I realized the truth. They were times, designed times that way the basement swallowed sound, as if it was built to. When we reached the bottom, our phones lit up a narrow hallway. The walls gray, damp but lined with panels like the kind used in recording studios. Only these were old, cracked, some edges looking burned. I didn't know why a morgue would need that. But the answer was somewhere here, hidden in the darkness ahead. The hallway widened, and we stepped into a large room. There were tables inside. Not like the ones upstairs, these were newer, sturdier, fitted with restraints along the sides. The straps were dark, stiff, some torn, like someone had fought hard against them. I stopped, suddenly short of breath. This didn't look like remnants of an old building. This looked used. Jaden walked up to one table and ran his finger across it. When he pulled his hand back, his fingertip was coated in a thin layer of dust mixed with something sticky. He wiped it on his pants without saying a word. In the corner was a cabinet with drawers left open. We pointed our lights inside. There were folders yellowed, but not old. Not forgotten years ago. No, these had been used recently. I picked one up. Inside charts, dates, diagrams, notes like time before break, stimulus level, response delay, phase sequence. In some places, the ink was smudged, like someone had written in a rush. The columns were filled with numbers, seconds, minutes, and sometimes hours. Maya read beside me and whispered,
Is this about people?
I didn't answer because we both knew, yes, about people, about endurance, about how long they fought, and about when they stopped. Next shelves. At first glance, random. But when we shined more light, I saw rows of glass jars. Inside each, something that looked like pieces of tissue, some darker, some nearly white. Each jar labeled with a date and a short note, often unreadable. I wanted to run back up, breathe, fresh air, air that didn't smell like formaldehyde and fear. But my legs felt numb, every step slow and heavy. The thick, bitter smell pressed on my chest, and every inch of my body screamed we were underground. Every rational part of my mind told me we needed to leave. Somewhere deeper in the room, something dripped. Steady, rhythmic, like someone had set it on purpose. It echoed in my head like a heartbeat not mine. A light flickered to the left. We froze and turned sharply. A fluorescent lamp hung from the ceiling by wires that dangled like veins. The light pulsed slowly, sickly. Each flash revealed new parts of the room, more tables, more straps, marks on the floor like something or someone had been dragged across it. I saw something on the wall, a large sheet of paper, maybe a map or diagram. I moved closer. It wasn't a map. It was a sequence, handwritten in neat medical script. The first column, initial state. The second, moment of will fragmentation. The third, post-break survival time. My stomach twisted. I wanted to shout that this was nonsense, that this couldn't be real. But everything around us left no room for doubt. We were standing in a basement that wasn't just a place. It was a laboratory. Active, deliberate, designed. Suddenly, I felt something warm touch my hand. Maya held it. Lightly, I could feel her trembling. Jaden slowly looked around and said,
Someone is still doing this.
I couldn't respond. I just listened to the silence. Silence that didn't feel dead anymore. This wasn't just a basement. This was the place where the legend of Warren stopped being a legend. I thought we were alone down there, or at least hoped we were. We moved so quietly that even our footsteps blended with the dripping in the dark. The flickering light above us seemed like a random malfunction until its rhythm changed. At first, just a blink, then a longer, brighter burst, then sharp, abrupt, almost like someone was deliberately switching the light on and off from the other end of the room. I lifted my phone to light up the space better, and that's when I heard them. Footsteps. Not like ours, hesitant, fast, panicked. These were heavy, steady, like whoever they belonged to knew this place well, like they'd walked here hundreds of times. They approached slowly, without hurry, and with every step, the floor gave off a faint, deep response. I hadn't seen him yet, but I already knew this wasn't some homeless guy. Not a random trespasser. This was something else. Maya squeezed my hand so hard my fingers went numb. Jaden took a step back, but he didn't manage to say anything. And then within the flickering light at the far end of the hallway, a silhouette appeared. Dark, motionless, like a shadow that had been standing there for years and had no reason to move faster. I remember every second. I remember how the lamp and our flashlights went out at the same time, how our phones froze, unresponsive. I remember how quiet it became, so quiet I could hear my own blood humming inside my ears. And then his voice echoed through the dark. Even calm, completely emotionless.
Silence. You're disturbing the patients.
It wasn't a warning, not a threat. It sounded like we'd interrupted him, like we were bothering him at his job. Maya froze. Jaden too. I felt something inside me clench so hard, it felt like my heart stopped for half a second. In the pitch black, the footsteps came again. Slow, confident, and we understood he was coming toward us. I don't even remember who moved first. Maybe Jaden, maybe Maya, maybe me. We all lurched backward at the same time and ran blindly, trying to find the corridor and the path we came from. It felt like forever before we stumbled into the right passage and sprinted toward the ladder. The hallway was long, but as we ran back, it felt different. The corners sharper, the turns unfamiliar. A maze wearing the mask of the hallway we entered. After several dozen meters, Jaden's phone flashlight flared on. We tried to stick together, but our legs buckled, our light bounced across the walls, and every wall and turn looked the same. For the first few seconds, I heard the doctor's footsteps far behind us. Slow, unhurried, like he knew we weren't getting far. And then, silence. Silence so sharp I realized he wasn't behind us anymore. He was ahead. Somewhere just outside the reach of the phone's dying beam. He moved like someone accustomed to walking between tables where bodies lay quiet, fluid, barely audible. Maya ran beside me, gasping for air but trying not to make a sound. Jaden was ahead. I could see, even feel, that Maya was struggling more and more. Our pace slowed, and Jaden's silhouette drifted farther away. And suddenly, he vanished at the end of the hall. His flashlight flickered out, and he dissolved into the black gap between two branching corridors. I screamed his name, but my voice cracked. Maya yanked my hand and whispered, "Don't shout!" And in that moment, I didn't understand what happened. Didn't know which way he turned, if he turned at all, and even now. Listen, I don't know where Jaden went. He's not answering. He's not home. I want to believe he's okay, though I suspect he's not. But I don't want to think about that. My fingers shook as I fumbled my phone and managed to turn on its dying flashlight. Maya and I ran deeper into the hallway that felt endless. The battery icon blinked, the charge dropping fast. Then something cracked under my foot. I stepped wrong and felt a sharp pain. My ankle twisted so hard I couldn't stay upright. I crashed onto the floor. Pain hit instantly, dull, black, blinding. My vision blurred. I tried to get up but couldn't. Maya bent down, grabbed my arm, tried to lift me, but she didn't have the strength. And then I saw him. In the darkness behind Maya, something appeared that shouldn't have been there. A silhouette, tall, still, like it emerged from the darkness instead of stepping into it. I tried to shout to warn her, but the air froze in my throat. She turned just for a moment, one short moment, and I saw raw terror flash in her eyes. And the shadow behind her moved. He grabbed her so quietly I didn't hear it. All I saw was her hands jerking upward, and the darkness swallowing her deeper, pulling her back into a corridor where my fading light didn't reach. I tried to stand, but my leg pulsed so violently the world blurred again. The last thing I remember was the silhouette retreating, carrying Maya, and the sound of her breathing cut off so sharply it was like someone flipped a switch. With every breath and slightest movement, pain shot through my leg. The corridor warped in front of me, everything dissolving into haze. I don't know how long I was unconscious. Maybe a minute, maybe an hour. I woke up because I couldn't move my hands. The restraints dug so deep into my wrists my fingers barely responded. My back was pressed against a metal chair, cold slicing through my shirt like a blade. My leg was still throbbing with sharp, rhythmic pain. The light above me flickered unevenly, blinding 1 second, barely glowing the next. I tried lifting my head, but it felt impossibly heavy, like it was filled with lead. The first thing I saw was Maya. She was sitting to my right, in a similar chair, but her head was locked in place by a rigid metal frame. The restraints held her face completely still, and her eyes wide open. She couldn't even blink. The lamp above kept slicing light into her pupils again and again, and I could hear her quietly moan, unable to look away, unable to shut it out. I called her name. She turned only with her eyes just as far as the restraints allowed. Tear streaks marked her cheeks, but her eyes now were completely dry, and when I said her name again, my voice cracked. I didn't recognize the sound that came out of me. And then I saw him. Lucas sat across from us, in the third chair. Not strapped, bound so tightly with belts it looked like his body couldn't move at all. His face pale, almost translucent, dark circles under his eyes, lips cracked. He was alive, but only halfway here. His head drooped to the side, and when he tried to lift it, A faint rasp escaped him. I wanted to scream his name, wanted to throw myself forward, rip the straps open, do anything. But my own body was fixed in place just the same. And then the doctor emerged from the darkness. No rush. Every movement precise, practiced. Like a medic performing a procedure he'd done 100 times. He went to Maya first, checked the restraints, adjusted something near her temple, as if aligning her field of vision. She flinched, but couldn't even jerk her head away. The frame held her tight. Then he walked to Lucas, attached a sensor to his arm, glanced at a monitor beside him, one I hadn't noticed at first. Numbers flickered across the screen. Pulse, blood pressure, electrical activity. Just like in a hospital. Only this wasn't a hospital. I whispered, "What are you doing?" The doctor didn't answer immediately. He stepped closer, stood right in front of me so I could see his face clearly. No shadows, no mystery. Just a regular man. Dark eyes. Calm. That kind of calm that makes you feel smaller, weaker. And then he said,
Here, as you've already realized, I study the moment of the break.
I didn't fully understand what that meant. He must have seen it in my expression because he added, just as evenly,
When the mind gives up before the body does.
He spoke like a professor explaining a concept to students. Then he leaned closer and whispered,
Now you're going to help me make a choice.
He gestured at the three of us. Maya, her eyes burning with forced openness. Lucas barely conscious. And me. The doctor placed a hand on a lever attached to my chair and asked,
Who is weaker, you or your friend?
I choked. Literally, I couldn't inhale. My chest locked up, and the world narrowed to two silhouettes. Maya, trembling in her head brace, trying helplessly to break free. And Lucas, whose mind was already slipping away. The doctor continued,
One of you will break first. I need to know who.
I didn't know what to say. I thought I might die from fear, from shame, from the fact that he was forcing me to choose. Maya rasped something, trying to say my name. Lucas stared at me with empty, glassy eyes. And I still can't believe I said it. I chose Lucas. The doctor didn't say anything, no approval, no reprimand. He just nodded, like a physician who had gotten the result he needed. And then a short metallic sound rang out. I still hear it. Not a hit, not a click. Something in between, like a restraint snapping shut with force. Lucas jerked. Once, and then didn't move again. I tried to shout something, but only a strained rasp tore out of my throat. My eyes filled with tears, not from pain, from what I'd done, from what I failed to do. I wasn't a hero. I wasn't brave. I was a 16-year-old who broke first. Even though he forced me to choose between myself and my friend, I still made a choice. And I still don't know how to live with it. I don't know how long I sat there, strapped to the chair, staring forward, not moving, not thinking. The world shrank to a single sound, my own, trembling breathing, like I'd just sprinted miles. Lucas didn't move anymore. Maya was beside me, but her gaze was no longer on me. The restraints held her head too tightly for her to turn. She only sobbed softly, tears dripping from her wide, unblinking eyes. Then he approached again. The doctor removed his gloves the way someone finishes a routine medical procedure, hung them neatly on a hook, made a few notes in a notebook without even glancing my way. Then he turned back, looked at me directly, emotionless as if we were discussing something as mundane as the patient's condition after dressing the wound. And he said,
You fulfilled your function.
I stopped breathing. He continued, steady, almost monotone.
I've recorded your limits, this time not physical, moral. As for Lucas, don't worry. He gave up long ago. His physical death was simply a consequence.
That word moral hurt more than the straps biting into my wrists.
I don't need you anymore.
I tried to understand what that meant. Was he done with me? Or was he planning to finish me the same way he finished Lucas? But he didn't step closer. He only turned his head slightly toward Maya.
But she's still useful to me.
Maya flinched from that single she. So did I. I whispered, "Please, let her go." He didn't even turn fully toward me. Just enough for me to see the edge of his profile.
If you tell anyone, her experiment ends.
It wasn't a threat. He didn't shout. He just said it like stating a natural, inevitable fact. Like gravity. Like inevitability. After that, he walked to my restraints and unbuckled them. Calmly, methodically, as if releasing a patient after a routine treatment. I collapsed to the floor, my legs useless, but he didn't turn around. The pain in my injured leg flared again, sharp and hot. The doctor returned to Maya, checked the readings on the monitor, and no longer acknowledged my existence. I crawled toward the exit. Not ran, crawled. Because my body wouldn't listen. Because my head spun. Because every movement felt detached, like I was controlling myself from far away. I don't remember how I reached the stairs. I remember climbing up into the hallway and collapsing on the floor above. I remember the cold, and how even that cold felt easier to endure than that basement. I don't remember the way home, only that when I woke up in my own bed that night, the first thing I did was lie. I lied to the police, told them we were just hanging out, got lost, saw nothing. I lied to my parents, said Jaden went home early, said Maya probably made it back fine. I lied to myself, said I did the right thing, that I had no choice. And now, as I'm recording this, I understand that I betrayed my friend, because I was too afraid to sacrifice myself. But I won't let him take Maya. It's the only thing keeping me together. The only thing left of who I was before all of this. I don't know how. I don't know what exactly I can do. But I won't let him finish what he started. Because if I don't, I'll never be able to call myself alive again. I spent a long time thinking whether I should record any of this. Whether it mattered. Whether the truth would help anyone if I don't come back. Right now, I'm sitting in the dark. In my own room, but it hasn't felt safe in a long time. The silence here is different, not dead like in the basement, but heavy, pressing on my chest, forcing me to remember every second, every sound from down there. I'm trying to breathe evenly, but I can hear it's not working. My hands are shaking a little. Feels like they still remember the straps. Everyone keeps telling me these last few days that I have to calm down, that things will work out, that the police are looking for clues. But I know they won't find anything. They don't know who they're looking for, and they definitely don't know where to look. I can't live with what I did. I can't keep pretending I forgot what happened down there. That I didn't see Lucas. That I didn't see Maya. That I didn't hear his voice. And worst of all, I can't live with the fact that I let him take him and her. That I just walked away. I'm scared. More scared than when we went down that basement the first time. Because now, I'm going there alone. Not to find evidence. Not to play the hero. But because I don't have any other choice, I have to at least try. Try to take her back. Or at least, not let him finish what he started. If someone is listening to this now, just know that I tried. In my own way. The only way I could. And if I don't come back, you know where to find me. All right. Well then, if you enjoyed Ethan's first tape and you're curious about what happened next, I've got good news for you. Right now, I'm holding the second part of this terrifying story, the cassette where Ethan recorded what happened after his escape from the morgue. So, if you want to hear part 2, let me know in the comments. Your feedback means a lot to me. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and send your own scary stories to my email. You'll find it in the description. There's always a chance that your horror story might make its way into my collection.